Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadosh. Double honors, the elders and apostles, the great millstone, who are teaching this truth and sincerity. And a shout out to Akim out there in four quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth. Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadosh, Brakatum. So this happened not too long after I was done concluding camp yesterday, and sure enough, this is some of the area where car fire was, but new evacuation orders. A fire had started yesterday. 110 acres, 0% contained. Evacuation orders, warnings issued, and this was about 12 hours ago, like I said, just not too long after camp. Fire broke out on Lower Springs Road, as you can see here in this valley. The fires burned around 110 acres in the area of Highway 299, the 1600 lower block of Lower Springs Road west of Redding, and remains 0% contained. Moving at moderate rate of spread, CAL FIRE said. So moderate rate, but you can see that those pink are the already evacuated areas. It's all mostly Keswick and SHS, which I believe Shasta High School District, I think is what SHS stands for. But KES is Keswick, short for Keswick. So you can see the higher yellow areas are all part of that Shasta High School District, and then you got bigger Keswick area, which are all near the walk trail. Evacuation orders and warning have been issued for the fire burning west of Redding, Shasta County Sheriff's Office declared. So you see all that area there. The road closures are in effect due to lower fire. Highway 299 closed to all traffic at Buenaventura Boulevard and Old Shasta. Now, I used to live near Buenaventura Boulevard, and I was that close to being evacuated during car fire, but I was spared from that. I don't live in that area now. Highway 299 at Rock Creek Road. Well, my uncle-in-law, he lives near that. Iron Mountain at Keswick Dam, so that's part of the walk trail already. Swayze Drive at Red Bluff Road. Lower Springs Road at Swayze Drive, and Swayze Drive at Placer Road. So this is like the junction area if you're trying to go to Shasta, or go from Shasta to Igo. Say you live out there. I used to live in Igo, so I kind of know the area fairly well. The fire has been named Lower Fire. Now, it's a developing story, but I have more on this from this news clip.
Breaking news.
Breaking news, several evacuation orders are in effect in the area of Lower Springs Road west of Redding after a fire broke out this afternoon. Action News Now reporter Jesse Angelo is live near that area with the latest information. Jesse, what do you know so far?
Well, Lauren, right now what we know is that the fire started, like I said, around 4:30 this afternoon in the area of Lower Springs Road and Highway 299, or Eureka Way, here on the west side of Redding. And that's exactly where I'm standing right now. The fire has jumped to the north side of the road, which is leading up toward the Keswick area. And as you can see, the smoke is very, very thick here. Fire crews are working really hard. There are all kinds of air attack. I've seen helicopters, fixed wing, even the 737 is dropping fire retardant in the area, and they're working hard at building containment lines. But right now, 66 acres burned and 0% containment. There is an evacuation, a temporary evacuation collection center set up at Buenaventura Road and Eureka Way. So anyone who is being evacuated can gather there, and we're working hard to get more details on this fire later on in the newscast. Live in Redding, Jesse Angelo, Action News Now.
All right, thanks, Jesse. Stay safe out there. We'll check back in with Jesse a little bit later in the show to see if there are any changes, but we also just learned moments ago that the fire has now reached 110 acres. Evacuation orders for these zones are in effect. This means leave immediately if you are in these areas. This is along Eureka Way near the Shasta State Historic Park and Lower Springs Road and the area of Kett. Evacuation warnings are in effect all the way up to Iron Mountain.
And so it looks like park fire. We'll play the park fire because that's still an ongoing fire as well. Because that's 37% contained now.
Today, the park fire has increased to 429,163 acres and is now 36% contained. Fire crews and 200 California National Guardsmen are still responding to the fire. The Guardsmen are working on fire suppression, park fire logistical support, and evacuation efforts. There are still evacuation orders and warnings in place in Tehama, Shasta, and Plumas counties. As of yesterday, there are no more evacuations in Butte County.
So, like everything else, you can see that these are ongoing events. Some evacuation orders downgraded west of Redding as crews make progress. Firefighters responded to the vegetarian fire that broke out Saturday afternoon on 1600 block of Lower Springs Road and Eureka Way west of Redding. The lower fire burned at moderate rate of spread. Multiple resources, including aircraft, were summoned to fight the blaze, which burned in the area of Highway 299. And so that was an update at nearly 2,400 hours. It's 23:31. So, like everything else, though, you know, these are ongoing. So I'm not sure what the containment level is, as those are the last updates. But you know, that's just in my area. But here's other things as this proxy war Ukraine continues. Well. A lot of entry into Russian territory now, so it's a whole new level.
You know, they claim they're going after military targets, but it seems they have seems to be more focused on civilian targets and civilian infrastructure than anything else. I think it's
a lot of rocket attacks been hit
to some
on
degree,
cars.
but I think also it's a sign of a desperation. They're basically a suicide mission for the soldiers the Ukrainian soldiers that are launched this. I think. Suffering. I've seen some numbers as far as a large number of armor vehicles, UAVs, MLRS. I think it will not affect the strategic outcome. I think it's more, it's probably being pushed by Western sponsors. Biden administration shows some type of potential gains in this area on where we, you know, that's basically sucking our budget in like a black hole. I'm very suspicious as far as the planning and the targeting information that was provided. So it would not surprise me if Western elements or advisors were involved on this.
And you got this going on because now that Belarus has been hit with an airspace violation, they're now sending tanks into Ukraine, so this is also developing. So Belarus has now officially entered into the war, fighting alongside Russia. And then you have this going on. Here we go. Blame Iran. Here comes Trump with the Zionist media. Trump campaign hack. Microsoft says Iran backed group. Mint Sandstorm responsible. So here we go. Microsoft Cyber Threat Assessment Unit on August 9. High-ranking officials and U.S. President campaign been hacked by Iran group. Well, you know that's bullshit. But that's just to draw everyone into this war on Iran, right? All terror attacks and ISIL or whatever, they're going to just say that Iran's behind it, right? Like the Taylor Swift Islamic attack, right? You know, Islamic or Iran-backed or whatever. They're just doing everything they can to draw Iran into this war. Report from Microsoft Threat Analysis Center indicates Iranian group called Mint Sandstorm consider to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps sent a spear phishing email in June. Oh, so it was in June. The recent cyber-enabled influence activity arises from a combination of actors which are conducting initial cyber reconnaissance. So, like everything else, though, it's bullshit, but it's just to believe that Iran's behind everything, right? Iran rejects claim about hacking Trump's presidential campaign. Iran's permanent mission to the United Nations rejected claims about hacking the campaign of U.S. Republican candidate Donald Trump, saying the Islamic Republic attaches no credit to such accusations. We do not accord any credence to the news. The Iranian government has no intent or motive to interfere in the U.S. presidential election, the mission said in a statement on Saturday. Again, they used to say Russia was hacking the campaign, but now everything's been shifted to Iran. I wonder why that is. Oh yeah, because Israeli state says so. Israeli military killed nearly 500 medics since the start of the war in Gaza. Palestinian Ministry of Health says nearly 500 medical workers were killed and hundreds more sustained injuries in the Gaza Strip ever since the Israeli military launched its devastating war against the coastal sliver in early October last year. Ministry said in a statement Saturday that more than 310 individuals have been arrested as well, and 130 ambulances have been destroyed because of Israeli attacks. The statement added the healthcare facilities and their staff in the occupied West Bank had come under more than 340 Israeli assaults during the same period. So, of course they're looking to wipe Gaza off the map to where Israeli state controls the whole thing with the U.S. backing. Dozens killed in Israeli airstrike on school. West Jerusalem claims that the facility was being used by Hamas as a military headquarters. Oh no! I guess they were building these things in civilian territories. Isn't that the same claims that they made during the Iraq War? Yeah, I remember them saying that the baby milk factory that they blew up, that Saddam Hussein was purposely putting weapons in areas, rather than admitting that they made a mistake by targeting civilian areas. No, they just said that Saddam was building missiles in civilian neighborhoods. That's what they said. Well, the same goes here, right? Dozens of people killed and many more injured in Israeli airstrike on school turned shelter in Gaza City, Palestinian authorities said. The attack on Tebin School in the central part of the city took place on Saturday morning and was confirmed by both officials in Gaza and the Israeli Defense Forces. Yeah, they were going after Hamas, I can tell that they were. So here we go. We'll play a little bit of this. Hopefully it's allowed on so-called YouTube, right? And I say so-called because
more than
who knows what they'll
Palestinians reportedly killed in an Israeli strike on a school that was used for sheltering displaced people in Gaza City. A warning, you may find the following images disturbing. As we understand, 3 rockets hit the building as people were gathering for morning prayers. Meanwhile, the Israeli military has reportedly cut off water supplies to the area. The IDF says the school was used as a Hamas headquarters and measures were taken to minimize the number of civilian casualties. Well, let's get this report now from local journalist Akram Al-Sattari. He says the humanitarian situation is dire.
The situation on the ground this morning is extremely catastrophic. The news coming from Gaza City, eastern parts of the Gaza City, indicates that around 100 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli strike that took the life of 90% of some worshippers who were praying in one of the mosques in East Gaza in a shelter that accommodates 6,000 Palestinians. 90% of the worshippers were killed. People and civil defense and Ministry of Health are still extremely busy trying to collect the parts of the body of the ones who were killed, while some of the bodies were totally burned. The situation when it comes to the water supply is extremely lacking. The regular water supply networks have been affected by the Israeli bombardment in different parts that undermined almost all of the infrastructure in the Gaza Strip, which leads also to more deaths among the people who are affected by the Israeli bombardment. Hospitals have been struggling just accommodating to the very large number of people who are coming every time Israel targets a place in Gaza. According to the medical sources, there are no enough beds for the people who are injured, and there are also no space in the morgue of the hospital because of the very large number of people who are dead because of that bombardment.
Now, you remember 10 years ago when Benjamin Not a Jew also was very much attacking Gaza. That was 10 years ago, and killed a lot, but not as comparison to this, with U.S. backing. Drone strikes U.S. airbase in Syria. This is the second attack in recent days that come against the American terrorists in Southeast Asia amid rising tensions. U.S. terrorists at Romlan landing zone in northeastern Syria have been attacked by drone, Reuters reported on Saturday, citing U.S. defense official. This is the second attack on U.S. terrorists in Southeast Asia last week. Amid growing tensions between Iran and Israeli state, several U.S. terrorist members were reportedly wounded in rocket attack on al-Assad base in Iraq on Monday. So, like everything else, though, you know, they're going after the terrorists responsible, because who's giving the Israeli state all these weapons of war anyways? It is the U.S., so of course they would go after targets. But this ain't coming from Iraq or Iran. No, this is actually coming from other breakoffs, you know, like the Iraqi resistance forces, which has nothing to do with the Iraqi government, you know. And of course, you know, you have lots of enemies there. But nonetheless, though, you know, things are picking up. They're accelerating. Even drinking water, U.S.-backed QSD militia prevents it from the residents through its siege imposed on Hasaka, which is in the Syrian side. So, you know, they prevent others from getting aid, just like they do in Gaza. You know, they've been doing the same to Syria for the last 13 years. Separatists of U.S.-backed QSD militia continues to siege Hasaka province for the 5th consecutive day, and suffering of the residents increase on the militia forbids the entry of flour and food and all kinds of food stuff, in addition to cutting off drinking water, as well as water tanks continued to be prevented from entering the city, which the U.S. backs these terrorist groups, you know, in Syria, because the U.S. is the backer of all terrorists. That's why you say American terrorists, because who's preventing, you know, humanitarian aid? The U.S. and the Israeli proxies. Dr. Isa Kiloff, director of Hasaka Health, warned of the continuation of the blockade preventing the entry of potable water. It is expected that there will be an increase in intestinal infections and diarrhea as a result of relying on water, most of which from surface wells that it is not safe for drinking. So, like everything else, though, they cut off the food and water supply, you know, and over here they're going to just do it under the guise of, for your safety, we are limiting the amount of water. You know, kind of like the water police that's coming here in California. You know, similar tactics that they use in war, but nonetheless going after the food and water supply. It's a weapon of war. That's exactly what it is. You know, so like everything else, though, you know, got one more here. I'm play, and it's from Richie from Boston. I don't know how much of that's going to be allowed on YouTube, but I'm going to try it because Jason A., which is another channel that sometimes gives you information, well, he's giving you Israeli propaganda, as Richard from Boston breaks down. You know, if you're subscribed to Jason A., well, know that it's mostly Zionist propaganda and most of it's lies, so it's really no better than CNN. In fact, probably most of it is CNN and other mainstream media, because we know who's causing the war: the Zionists, you know, the Israeli state, the least of the flock. So like everything else, though, we know that this is going to continue, you know, and well, you know, there's just a few more prophecies to happen. I mean, you got all kinds of things, right, going on, but nonetheless, though, we can see this in the making, all leading to the day of judgment, the day of Yahweh's judgment. Joel chapter 3 verse 2, I will gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Yehoshaphat. It says Jehoshaphat, but we know there is no J in the Hebrew, so I try to say it to the closest that I could get. And will plead with them, for they are my people, my heritage, Yasha-Allah, even though it says Israel, because again, trying to get back to the original language, to the best of our abilities, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Yeah, and how did they do that? Well, it tells you in verse 3. They cast lots for my people and given a boy for a harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. And this is what happened when they, you know, especially when they opened the slave trade. And all these nations, especially Ishmael and all of and Amalek, you know, because they helped Amalek to do this. Yea, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coasts of Palestine? That's why this area has been cursed. You know, these bastards dwell in our land. And will you render me recompense? And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your head? You know, so like everything else, though, that area they're going to still continue to fight over. You know. The children of Yehudah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians, that you might remove them far from the border. I will raise them out of the place whither you have sold them, and return your recompense upon your head. And how is he raising them? Meaning that, okay, we're coming back to the light. We're coming back to the knowledge of who we are. You know, first we're coming back as the righteous to spread the word of Yahweh, Yahushai, but eventually we're going to be given power. And I will sell your sons and daughters into the hands of the children of Yehudah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, which is another term for the Arabians, to people far off, for the Most High has spoken it. You know, so guess what? Payback's coming. I'm going to be selling Amalekites. You're going to be selling Edomites. Proclaim this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. You know, and like everything else, though, when Iran, Persia, makes their attack, they're going to have the backing of Russia, by the way. Vladimir Putin already said that they're backing them. Beat your plowshares into swords and pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. You know, third world countries. Let the heathen be wakened, come up to the valley of Yehoshaphat, for there I will sit to judge all the heathen round about. So like everything else, they're going to all gather there for this third woe that cometh quickly, which is going to end in nuclear conflict. You know, with the fall of Damascus leading to the destruction of Babylon and the Israeli state. Yeah, that's all coming. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of the Lord Yahweh by Hashem, Yahushai, is near in the valley of decision. You know, so that's coming. The third woe does come quickly. But there's just a couple more prophecies. As you know, the earthquakes in diverse places, famines, pestilences, all those things, the crash of the dollar, and everything moving towards the MOTB system will have to take place before this war breaks out. But you could continue to see gathering as we get closer and closer to this. So hopefully this has been edifying. Got one more here and close this out. Then I will say, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Wa Abab Babal. Barakathum, Jehovah Elect, Shalom.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. It's the 9th. It's August. It's 2024, and we've got a hurricane coming up the coast right now. So it just got
Hurricane Derby.
And I didn't want to make a video. And speaking of not wanting to make a video, I'm currently uploading right now the winner of the 3 prizes: the Bone Valley knife. This.
All right, that's
the Bone Valley. There. I was on the road for a year, and it looks like I'm getting ready to turn and burn if I possibly can. I got to figure out how, but I can't be on the East Coast. But here's the deal: I'm sitting down at 7 o'clock at night, and I turn on Jason A, and this is what I find: Israel military women. And notice the little Israeli flag in the heart. That bums me out big time, but it lets me know that Jason A is and always has been propaganda.
Yep.
Because when I was on the road, I would steal clips from his channel because he'd always have news clips on. He never narrates, he never gives a point of view, and half the time all he's doing is simply and totally pushing the propaganda. Well, in this video, well, watch this.
As the war against Hamas rages on, Israel's female reservists are answering calls to serve.
We are hearing inspiring stories of heroes. This woman is being credited with protecting an entire community, saving many lives as the terrorists moved in.
An all-female battalion recently claimed to have eliminated nearly 100 Hamas terrorists.
But these tank women and other members of their units made history on the 7th of October. The first women in Israel, probably in the entire world, who fought in an armoured battle. A heroic battle in which they saved an entire kibbutz and killed dozens of terrorists.
25-year-old Inbal Lieberman is a former member of the Israeli army. When she realized her kibbutz was coming under attack, she broke open the armory and handed out weapons. And they killed 24 terrorists in a 4-hour gun battle. This video shows the moment the cavalry came to the rescue. A full contingent of Israeli troops who took out the rest of the invading terrorists.
Well, here's a funny story. Israel has all of Palestine, where the people, the actual indigenous people, the Semites, the people that are supposed to be there, the Palestinians, They're living
That's a little off.
completely and totally encircled in concrete and steel.
But they are
patrolled at all
Shemites.
times, and these guys
When you get into the
whenever they want,
background of
toss their
Shem.
houses, lock them up, throw them in jail, or kill them. So these women, if they did anything at all, just killed a bunch of people. They didn't kill soldiers or terrorists or armed men. There was no battle. It's all bullshit and propaganda, and it's probably to make American women feel like they should be on the front lines, because then the whole thing would be complete. All these made-up wars that these people conduct to kill off the best and strongest young men over centuries can now kill the best and strongest young women too. Why not? Who cares? It's all good. It's all good. Let's just kill everybody. You see what I mean? But this totally blows me away, the amount of propaganda these guys are spitting right now. You know, they had a tank battle. Yeah, Hamas doesn't have tanks, okay? They have bottle rockets at best, and Israel has been smiting them for almost a year straight, so there's nothing left. They're simply destroying all of Palestine, hospitals, schools, women, children, men, period. So don't believe any of this hype, and don't believe anything Jason A. says, because I always suspected he was propaganda, but I never wanted to say it because the kid never showed his face, and he's never spoke. He just shows the news. So you're seeing on his channel, thinking he's somehow a good guy or awake, you're seeing what the news shows. That's it. It's helpful for me because I get to catch up on the news and I get to tell you what I think and blah, 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 this, that, and the other thing. But it's unbelievable, man. This is totally, totally unbelievable. At any rate, let's move on. I'm going to have you listen to some actual IDF, Israel Defense Force soldiers that are now retired or don't live in Israel anymore. And they'll tell you what they think of this entire war and how it happened. Sounds awfully a lot like September 11th, which Israel would have a really good idea about as well, I'm guessing, or if I had to guess.
Several former members of the Israeli Defense Force have come forth because they are extremely concerned about what is going on in Israel. They testify how the military in Israel is the most advanced high-tech army in the entire world. They also reveal how the borders between Israel and Gaza are the most heavily secured borders anywhere on earth. High-tech sensors alert the Israeli Defense Force from the moment that even a small animal approaches the borders.
Yeah, so you couldn't enter therein unless they wanted you
able to approach the border, but they blew up the fences. They entered Israeli territory and started destroying homes and burning down villages and killing Israeli people without any semblance of defense by the Israeli military. Turns out that shortly before this attack, the government had ordered the removal of all military presence from that area. Hamas was literally given a free pass to enter and start their operation.
Which they were given a signal. They were told to attack.
The Israeli Defense Force explain that
it's a false flag. It's always been.
Is going on in Israel.
תקשיבו רגע, אני שירתתי כסמב"צית חי"ר במהלך מלחמת צוק איתן, אני שירתתי באוגדת עזה. כל השירות שלי היה תומכת לחימה בזמן מלחמת צוק איתן שעזה הייתה באוגדת עזה. תקשיבו לי ותקשיבו לי טוב. אין מצב בעולם שזאת התקרבות לגדר, אוקיי? מבלי שאנחנו לא נדע מזה. התצפיתניות יושבות בבונקרים 4 שעות, הן לא יכולות לעשות ככה. הן מול מצב. לא יכול להיות מצב, שום מצב, שהיו מעירים אותי בלילה על יונה, על חסידה שהתקרבה לגדר, על מקק שעבר מתחת לגדר, היו מקפיצים את כל הגזרה.
Okay, I gotta jump in real quick. I was just at Manny Fish's house with him and his wife. They fed me, I took a shower, we took mountain bike rides, we talked, blah, blah, blah. And I had to bring up the fact that if Hebrew is God's language, why would he pick the most unattractive language? Do you know what I mean? I mean, the way I talk
that's because that's not the Paleo-Hebrew.
My voice, etc. But the way this girl is talking, it just sounds like it just sounds disgusting, doesn't it? I don't know.
Well, yeah, because it's hogwash. It's not real.
These are actual soldiers that can't get in trouble for telling the truth. There's no... After a year, even if there was some sort of a terrorist group that somehow got armed with Israel staring at them and coming in and messing with them constantly, they somehow built a secret army that required tanks. They needed women, tanks filled with hot Israeli women fighting back in August of 2024 when this whole thing started in October of 2023. Come on, man. At any rate.
חסידה שהתקרבה לגדר, על מקק שעבר מתחת לגדר, היו מקפיצים את כל הגזרה. איך נכנסים...
Yeah, that's not the original Paleo-Hebrew. Basically, it's gibberish, is what I meant to say.
2023. This is a fact-finding zone, and I'm here to share an update from Israel-Hamas war, which started this morning. Apparently, Israeli defense forces that were supposed to be around Gaza were placed around the West Bank because of security concerns, so that the Gaza envelope was left unoccupied with military. They say around 60 to 80% of that area was left without the IDF forces that were supposed to be there. A year ago, there was a military operation in Gaza to prepare for such events, and ongoingly there are trainings for these kind of scenarios. This raises serious questions for me, anyway, about Israeli intelligence. What happened? 2 years ago, there was a successful deployment of underground barriers with sensors to alert exactly on these kind of terrorist breaches. Israel is one of the most advanced and high-tech armies. How come there was zero response to the border and fence breaching? I cannot understand that. Personally, I served in the IDF 25 years ago in the intelligence forces. There's no way, in my view, that Israel did not know of what's coming. A cat moving alongside the fence is triggering all forces. So this? What happened to the strongest army in the world? How come border crossings were wide open? Something is very wrong here. Something is very strange. This chain of events is very unusual and not typical for the Israeli defense system. The current government is highly corrupt in my view, while the previous one was no better. I don't care about having a popular opinion. I care about exposing evil forces wherever and whomever they are. So to me, this surprise attack seems like a planned operation on all fronts.
There it
if I was a
is.
conspiracy theorist, I would say that this feels like the work of the deep state. It feels like the people of Israel and the people of Palestine have been sold once again to the higher powers that be. At the same time, this is still very, very difficult to fathom.
You see what I'm saying? Even the people that are there, some of them do know. They do understand what's going on. If they were a conspiracy theorist, they would think that somebody was into this. It just bums me out. They think it's the deep state. It's the same group. The Rothschilds gave Israel that land, that wasn't theirs to give, in 1947, stuck them in the middle, which is just like, I don't know, just like if some outside source from another country stuck a bunch of Chinese in the middle of the United States right here. So it's all Americans living all the way around. They stuck them right in the center and then gave them the absolute best military training, military weapons, and endless amounts of money from the people that they're actually surrounded by. And if anybody decided to say, what is this? You just stuck a bunch of people that don't belong here in the middle of the country, and now they're suddenly shooting and killing and blaming everything on us. It just doesn't make any sense. Do you see what I'm saying? I lost my train of thought there. It is what it is. I even brought up a picture of a map and I forgot what I was saying, so whatever. Israel was put there by the Rothschilds in 1947. Everybody knows that. There isn't any deep state, etc. And I spent a little bit of today watching Kamala Harris and her new pick, Harris Walls. Yeah, it's funny because somebody said this about her, and I don't know if he knew what he was talking about, but he was dead nuts right. Real quick, if you want to know what's going on, watch this channel right here, Sky News Australia, because they say everything about our government that none of our news people will ever say, ever.
Good evening,
Did you notice right off the bat the guy behind her was like smelling her hair? I mean, just like Uncle Joe Biden. Here's the deal with this guy Walls. He has let an unbelievable amount of Somali people take up living in Minnesota. He has passed laws that make it every single illegal alien in Minnesota can get a driver's license, even though they're there illegally, but they can get a driver's license. If you have a driver's license, you're not here illegally. You see what I mean? They're circumventing everything that made our country a country. He also put tampons in the bathrooms of elementary schools in all the boys' rooms. Yeah. And then, of course, there's Kamala Harris. This lady can't say 3 words without laughing for 30 seconds or so, and then she'll repeat herself. I've never watched any of this before. I've never listened to a word she said, but now you're gonna, because you need to.
Good evening. Good evening.
Oh dear. Let's end Lefty's Losing It with the hilarious Tim Dillon and his unique analysis on why Kamala Harris is the perfect candidate.
That's right. That's right. This is the campaign. These are the policies.
This is what Harris is putting on stage. These black women that could be transgender for all I don't know, but they're up there doing disgusting dances. Like, this isn't MTV. This isn't VH1. This is just disgusting. It makes America look like what America is. Pathetic and weak.
Or how about Sodom and Gomorrah?
These are the policies. This is what you're voting. You're voting for this. They have their perfect candidate. Half Indian, half black, attractive woman. Every billionaire on earth, this is, if you were going to build a robot in a lab that would be secretly controlled by billionaires, it is Kamala Harris. If Kamala Harris did not exist, billionaires would have to invent her. half Indian, half black, attractive woman, childless. She's a career, or should I say, bish, B-I-S-H. Kamala Harris would have to be invented if she did not already exist. She is hollow in the best way. Meaning certain people, when they are hollow, there is something deeply uneasy about them because some of them would want to not be hollow. There is some humanity in them that is trying to escape. Kamala is so at home with her hollowness. She has been eaten by ambition. It is stage 4. It has gone to the brain. It is that laughter. It is that kind of... She is perfectly comfortable with being used as a tool by other people.
That's it from me tonight.
What else are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
All right, thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up, and families and individuals are dealing with the realities of the bread costs more, the gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up. That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources. That's about a source of stress for families that is not only
Tell me something I don't know.
but is on a daily level, something that is a heavy weight to carry. So it is something that we take very seriously.
I bet you do.
Well, here you go. We're not going to cut inflation. We're not going to do anything to fix it. We just take it very seriously. That's all. It's just the cost of living going up. This is insane. This is insane. You've got one side who people think is going to somehow fix this. One person becoming the president isn't going to fix anything. We're on a crash course. We're on a spiral that has been laid out.
Yep.
It's been prophesied.
Babylon the Great has fallen.
And it's happening. And this is what they're offering. Either this crazy lady with the guy I'm the governor of Minnesota, but I put tampons in boys' bathrooms in elementary school. What the fuck? I mean, are you kidding me? But that's the reality of it. What are you going to do about inflation? Well, inflation means, the cost of living is going up and causes a lot of stress, and the price, you know what you didn't mention? You know one thing that's not going up? Fentanyl, heroin, OxyContin. Prices of those aren't going up. Hell, like I said before, you can get fentanyl cheaper than you can get a gallon of gas or a gallon of milk. Why is that? Where's this war on drugs? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is all by design, ladies and gentlemen, because you know what? This isn't happening in other countries. Even though they show it in the Olympics in France, it isn't happening in other countries. It's just here. You see what I'm saying? Because we're armed. They aren't. And that's that. At any rate, if you were smart, get your money out of the bank, send it to Goldco. They'll send you gold and silver. Here's your cash.
Shalom.